Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Board of Commissioners meeting, for the New Bern Housing Authority. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and we will start with, the roll call.
Commissioner Bingle,
Here.
Commissioner Coghill, Commissioner Copeland,
Here.
Commissioner King, Commissioner Pierce,
Here.
Commissioner Reddick,
Here.
Commissioner White. Here. We have a quorum.
Great. Do we have any public comment?
No request have been made.
Okay, so I do have some comments and, also this is the time that if any other commissioner has any comments as well, you're welcome to do so. But the first thing that I want to say is just again, thank you for all of the commissioners' dedication and participation in everything that is going on, especially thank you to our illustrious executive chair and class all around. Thank you for everything that you are doing and your dedication to getting our grant applications submitted. Now that that is done, we can, I would like to move forward and be able to talk with our committee and create a strategy for that going forward. I think you received my email and everybody thought it was a great idea to have a meeting, a strategic meeting, and invite some key community members to this meeting. And the location I would like to say would be the Chamber downtown. And I do have a date, or some dates, put it that way. I do have some dates, so this first one is not gonna work. Do they have a calendar that you can pull up or you have to call them? Okay. So my first question is, because the dates that I have are not gonna work, the first date that I have though is March the 27th. It is on a Friday, and the reason why I'm saying I don't really like that day because our executive director will not be here.
Stay away from time.
And so I didn't really wanna have it on that,
On the Friday?
excuse me,
What would the timing be?
like 10 to 12.
Middle thing. Okay.
Yes.
That's what I-
So at any date that we're looking on, I'm thinking 10 to 12.
Perfect.
I would prefer, and this is me talking, so everybody
Yeah, that
please,
means nobody who's got a 9 to 5 job can come.
well,
Is that a concern?
Yeah.
it's not a concern because some of those that were suggested to be able to come, I think are retired anyway. And hopefully if we can give enough advance notice, then they would be able to make it. If not for both hours, at least for one. So I would love to have it on a Tuesday. Okay,
Tuesday, 31st.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, I'm out.
you're out,
I'm basically always out Tuesday from 11 to 12, so. You
okay?
can do it if you want to.
Is it just that time frame or just Tuesdays?
It's that time frame.
It's that
I've
time
got
frame.
11 to 12 commitment every Tuesday.
So what time frame would be good for you? Okay, so let me say this as well.
Could you do 12 to 2 and we provide lunch?
Could you do 12 to 2?
Yeah, I might be a little late, but yeah.
Okay, so we also have to be careful that we don't invite too many too many board members don't show up because then it would be deemed a meeting, correct?
Correct.
And so,
Oh.
yeah, we have to kind of be careful.
So yeah, maybe you don't want me there. You just need,
So we don't need, yeah,
you can't have a quorum, right?
we cannot have a quorum.
You know, it's the rule. You can only have 3.
You can only have 3.
Well, it depends on what the group is doing,
Okay,
and if you're. Gets into attorney. Client, advice, but it sounds like you can have this meeting, but I don't know exactly what all. these
Okay.
will be.
so the purpose of the meeting is to create a plan to go against, or the negative narrative that we have, in the community. Be it the wrong information or just the negativity around, our transformation plan.
And I think it's just an educational program.
It is an
Basically, it's a
education,
Discussion and education.
It is where do we need to go? Who do we need to target? Who do we need to bring to the table? Do we need, it's a strategy, do we need to have another community meeting? And, what day and time,
So this will be a community meeting?
so let me say that some of
If
the,
it's not, then we need to hold it for consultation with the attorney at the end of the meeting. Before you go into any more detail about what it's.
I agree.
okay. Enough said, thank you. Does anybody have any questions or any input then? But we were advised to just hold it until closed session. Anybody, Judy or who else is on there? Scott, you have any questions or any input? Do you really understand what I'm trying to, or what we're trying to do?
Yeah,
Yes,
I do. Yes.
yes.
Okay, awesome.
I mean, I think the telescopic view is here. We've got amazing opportunities that will be transformative for New Bern. And a lot of people seem confused about that and are confused about what the plan actually is. So to the better extent we can work through that better.
That's what we want to do.
Formative opportunity.
How can we connect with the community better? Okay. Okay, so next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Hopefully you've had time to go over the packet, and at this time I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So
Second.
Okay, any question? All in favor, say aye, please. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, thank you. All right, next we will have our finance report. Ready whenever you are, Shay.
Hello, good afternoon. The first report we have is the balance sheet. Does anyone have any questions on the balance sheet? Okay. Next report. Okay, the next report is the Ross grant. Does anyone have any questions on the Ross grant? Okay. Next report is Trent Court. Does anyone have any questions on Trent Court? All right. One more page. The next report is New Bern Towers. Does anyone have any questions on New Bern Towers? Okay. Next up is the cash lead sheet. Does anyone have any questions on the cash lead sheet? All right. The last report is the grant summary. Does anyone have any questions on the grant summary?
And as I mentioned during the finance committee meeting, we have submitted all of the information to HUD. We had a conference call with our HUD representative last week, and we've uploaded all of the information pertaining to the 2025 capital funds grant. And so that was in this portal for review. And that should be, uploaded and available for us within the next 30 days.
We have, estimation of how much it's going to be.
It's around that same 600 and,
630.
yeah, around that 630. I think it's 644, but don't quote me, but it's still in
That area,
that same range.
no dramatic.
No, ma'am.
And that was the
That
last
is-
report. Yes, for the finance portion.
The only other thing that I will tell you, I'll get with Shay and Daphne, but with Congress passing the budget and some of the reduction that they're making this year in operating subsidy, they kept capital funds at even level, but so just where you all know, what HUD traditionally has done is when we put together our budget, we generally put together the budget initially based on 100% subsidy. Then what we do is say, we go back and then we take a look at it and say, what is HUD typically going to fund that operating budget at? And so it could range from, in most cases, sometimes it's 95% of that number, sometimes it's 93%, sometimes it's 87%. So there was a pretty drastic change in that number. We'll go back and look at what that allocation is. And so as we get into further down into June, July, halfway through our budget year, not only when we present back to you all a budget revision, we also may be presenting back to you all an adjustment in the subsidy that we'll get from HUD as well, based on their approved budget.
Basically, a line item transfer is what you're gonna do.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it, but I still like y'all to know that, you know, because again, from an advocacy standpoint, and that's why we were in Washington last week is, you know, from an advocacy standpoint, for-profit entities build apartment complexes, and when they have an operating deficit, they go up on the roof. But we can't go up on rent on our tenants, and so our tenants are locked in at 30% of their gross adjusted income. And so here's the thing, if you submit your budget and 50% of your residents are working, and that's why it's important to help our residents go get employed. But if 50% of your residents are working and their subsidy is, the 30% is based on that amount, and HUD is not funding us at 100%. So if they lose their job and they go to 100% of subsidized payment, and we're not getting 100% of subsidy, then we're gonna have a shortfall. So that's why it's important, going back to what you were talking about, Chair, is it's educating the community to understand that is why we're trying to help our residents get educated. And as much as people are unemployed, people are also underemployed. And so a major part of what it's trying to do is getting somebody to get a job from $12 an hour to $17 an hour. So, you know, it's not as much for us to get that difference. They're gonna be charged that difference because it's based on their income, but we're still gonna get the same amount of subsidy. We're gonna get pro rata. But the benefit of it is if we're at zero income, it makes us more difficult for us to operate. As Sabrina indicated, you know, it's a line item shift. And so what we don't want, the benefit of us being a small agency, is we make up that difference in capital funds and those other things. And we don't always want to be able to do that because
We're gonna.
yeah, so when we need it and be able to help utilize and leverage those funds to build more housing, to do more things in the community, because we have to supplement that to do operating expenses, it's less funds we have. So it's just more so I like to share that with you all to keep y'all informed. So again, not only when we're pushing CNI and those kinds of things like that, we're also pushing our congressmen and our legislative delegation to fight for an increase in HUD's operating budget as well, because those things is why we're as a housing industry in the trouble we're in. I mean, last week, we are $190-something billion nationwide in backlog, and repairs that are needed to existing public housing throughout this country. That's why housing authorities are going through RED and those kinds of things, because Congress traditionally have not provided enough funding to make those repairs. So therefore, what you have in the Craven Terraces of the world over the years is a result of Congress not providing that subsidy to make those necessary repairs, which is then there's a huge deferred maintenance on those units, which results in a lot of cases of demolition, because there's just units that were built in the 1940s are not capable of keeping up. So I just, again, like to keep y'all informed and educated on what's going on in the industry and why we need to continue to fight for certain things. But that affects us on the capital fund side, which ultimately affects our budget as well.
Okay. I think that concludes our report, your presentation, correct, Shay? Or no?
Yes.
Okay, any questions from any commissioners?
I just
Okay,
wanna say, y'all done a good job getting these books a lot cleaner. And, you know, we've been, I know we've been a pain about it, but it's a lot better, and I really appreciate the hard work.
I'm back into the numbers, I really do appreciate it, makes sense to me.
Thank you.
thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the financial report as stated.
Second.
Okay, question? All in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is the executive director's report.
Yeah, I don't have a lot, just to share that, as Chair Reddick said, the CNI application, went in. We spent, our goal was to turn it in on the 5th, but a couple of glitches, but we spent about 3-4 hours on a Saturday afternoon, getting that application submitted. And I was on the phone with our consultants and Kim from the city. But we got that application submitted. The deadline was that Monday. But on that Saturday, we got confirmation from the HUD system that our application was locked, it was in, and it was submitted. And so let's keep our fingers crossed as we move forward. I was in DC last week for the NARA Legislative Conference. Secretary Turner was there. It was an interesting environment between the secretary and the constituents when he was talking. There's a lot of work that needs to be done between the administration and the housing industry to get us on one accord with the needs that exist, because there's a tremendous disconnect right now, and it was demonstrated. It was demonstrated very honestly in commissioners, or as well as staff discontent with some of the things that were being articulated from the HUD office. We had good meetings, good discussion. Had contact with Congressman Davis's office. We met with Senator Tillis's office. Even though he's on the countdown, his staff was very engaged. I want to say publicly that Caleb on his team even emailed us this morning asking for additional information. They were very engaged. He was very informed. He knew the regulations. He knew the programs. He knows the needs. And so it was enlightening to be able to sit with somebody and discuss with them the programs. We were not able to get a meeting with Senator Budd office after several attempts. We still just wasn't able to get a meeting there. We also sent the information to Representative Murphy, because it's still an overlap. And so we're still making sure that we keep those officers informed. But it was good meetings in DC.
Did you get your notice? Do we get our letters of support from?
We got the information, to each of their offices. And I will say to Sabrina's point, all of the, congressional representative offices have committed to submit, a letter of support directly. They wanted to wait until the application was submitted. So what they indicated is it does better for them when an application has been submitted and they're submitting letters of support and make direct communication. We cannot lobby HUD. So, our representatives, now that the application is in, our delegation can make direct communication with them. But as board members in the housing authority, we can't, not during this period of time, make direct communication with them to solicit, any support. So I just want us to be mindful of that part, but our congressional delegation can do as much. They can fight for us, and so we want to continue to keep them engaged. And we shared with them last week that we'll be back in touch, because as this review process continues to go, we still think it's important that they still send support letters, as not only now, but also continue to keep in touch with the HUD office on our application.
And then both senators are sending a letter, even though we didn't get the meeting on Bud, or?
Yeah, both senators, for Bud office indicated all along that they were on board and they would submit something. We just couldn't get a letter. But they were not in session last week as well, but we still were trying to get those communications, but otherwise we're good.
So what is our timeline? We've submitted now. When do we find out if we've made the short list to get the interview?
So we hope to know something, if things go well, hopefully we'll know something late May, early June. And then at that point, they'll begin to make a short list from there. Just for you all, we do expect, we don't know for sure, but Fayetteville was planning to submit an application. They submitted an application last year and did make the short list. But we do know that they were planning on it. And in my discussions last week with a couple of the delegation offices, they had wind of Fayetteville submitting, but no one from the city had contacted them, which I hate to say it, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So nobody from those cities directly had contacted any of the delegation as of right now, even though we made them aware when they asked, do we know of anybody else? And we said, we knew Fayetteville. And we said, yeah, we heard that, but nobody's made contact to several of the offices that we've been in contact with, which is a good thing. So.
Can I make just a quick comment about all of this? I think y'all know I've been working on this for 10+ years. And while I didn't put it in writing here, I'm not really good at responding to those things because I don't like to, but I absolutely wanted to fall to the ground and cry because we worked so hard. And when I think about the process that we went through to even try to make an application and we still couldn't do it, and to see all this come together makes me so proud. And Reggie, I can't thank you enough because you are the one that made it happen. I'm not joking. I've been through the round, I've been through other consultants that wanted to come in and write this, and you know, the whole thing with the housing authority and the city and who was gonna do it, who wasn't gonna do it, trying to pull all this together. Even the planning grant, what we went through with the planning grant and getting that money, we told, be thankful you got that and you'll never get anything else. So to see us submit and really have a great chance of being sure, I can't thank you enough. And the staff and the consultants, and I'm forever indebted because this was a lot of hard work by a lot of people. This is going to be a dream come true for our community, not for us, but for our community, and they're gonna be the winners in this.
That's right.
All of you.
That's right.
Oh, so I just want to publicly thank you and have it in our minutes, just, you know, and the leadership of our chair and everybody that's been involved has been key to make this happen. Key.
I think we have a great, I think we have a great chance. I'm claiming it.
Amen.
But as you said, it was timing was right. The transformation plan was stale. So, you know, again, it was what y'all asked of me. And we were able to pull together a great team and bring in the best of the best. And, the community was responsive in spite of the little things that have happened in the last few weeks. You know, the community has been responsive. And as I said to everyone, and I'll say it again, sometimes we can disagree on how we get there, but nothing that anybody has said is that we're not all on the same page of what we want for the community. And so as long as we stay focused on everybody is still wanting what's best for this community, we can agree to disagree sometimes, and that's okay. But I think the application represents a collective of everybody working together in this community. And so you're right, it's a lot of hard work, but it was all well worth it.
And just the caliber of the consultants that you brought into this team, you know, thank you for that too, because they are amazing. That urban strategies that people work at, they are just amazing to work with, kind and friendly, and just, they know their job inside out, out, and it's been amazing. And Melanie and her group, I mean, everybody, architects, I can't say there's been any consultant that you have brought forward that I think, why are we dealing with this person? So thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you all. That's all I had. Thank you.
Awesome. So, in light of our weather conditions. Okay, so we are recording, right?
We are.
Okay, so, in light of the weather conditions, our, employees are not here, but, any questions concerning any of these reports? Hopefully you've actually, let's do this. If you have any questions, make note of them and just contact, that,
Just send it to me.
yes, contact that property manager, or actually, I'm sorry, contact our executive director and he will, address your concerns.
So the only thing not just bring it back, it's just, I'm so concerned about the police reports and transport, again, I don't know if there's anything to change, but it just seems that they've picked up.
Activities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pam, are you still on?
I noticed you had other violations
Yes.
for terminations.
Yeah, can you just, Commissioner Bingo, was just, even though the items are on the consent, just that the police activity seemingly is picking up, can you speak to that?
Okay, so you can't see it, but the breaking and entering.
Yeah, no, don't go through the full report. The question is a direct question of what are some of the things that you think are causing some of the increase in different activities?
It's getting warmer outside.
Okay,
That and it's really no, I don't have an idea.
no, and a lot of times the weather is an indication, so that is a true statement, so that's acceptable. You know, one of the things that we'll have to do is continue to work with the police department and to address some of those issues.
Thank you.
Okay. So next, we have some resolutions.
Yes.
Or no, a resolution, approval of construction contract for the Charles Taylor building. Are there any questions regarding that?
So just FYI, we went through a bid process with several contractors that had 4 or 5 contractors to bid on the project. We're awarding it to the low bid contractor. They're regional, and, not that it matters because it wasn't a decision making as it relates to a decision in the scoring, but it is a minority owned, contractor, that has been awarded as a regional contract, for that. And Jamie, and his team have worked with us to, and our architect to put together the contract. If you all, what we did today is we highlighted, the important parts of the contract. However, if you all want to see the full contract in detail, we can provide that to you, but it's 180.
107 pages.
107 pages.
You don't include the things incorporated.
Yeah, so we didn't include the 107 pages of the contract, but we did provide the highlights of it, for your approval today.
Madam Chair, I would like to, recuse myself from voting as, my husband's business, potentially is going to get the roofing contract. He's not the general contractor, he would be a subcontractor. So just in the, in the spirit of, transparency, I don't want to, have anything go back, so I'm going to recuse myself.
Thank you.
Could I ask a question real quick?
Yeah,
Sir.
About that? So when, and this may be, Reggie, it's probably for you. So when we go through the process of, we have a project, we choose a contractor, are you the one who chooses, or is it the housing authority board, or how is that? How's the contractor chosen?
So we go through the general, process unless you are doing an RFQ versus an RFP. In this case, it's an RFP, and so it's based on low bid. It's based on the low bid.
So, Reggie, can I add in? So, Steve, Scott, I'm sorry, the architect runs the procurement process on behalf of the housing authority. The architect solicits the bid, puts together the package because it's a construction project.
And who's the architect in this particular case? Is it Stogner?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then Stogner makes a recommendation to Reggie, and then Reggie makes the recommendation to the board. The board has final decision authority, up or down, send it back or approve it.
But they make sure that all of the respondents are in compliance and submitted all of the proper documentation, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Yeah, I was just interested in how I've worked on the other side of it, with other housing authority boards, and I've worked with Stogner, and I was interested in how we did that. So thank you.
Yeah, so again, just for the good of the group, if we build into the scoring matrix a rubric, of other factors in determining besides cost, then it's a grading system, and then generally we put together, like for proposals or qualifications, based on qualifications, then we build a committee, an outside committee, they then review it, make a recommendation back to me, and then we come to the board. But just in general, contracting type work, based on federal government standards, is generally to the low bidder, unless there's some extenuating circumstance, like they didn't meet certain qualifications and yada yada. But as Jamie indicated, that's the process we undergo.
Right. And I mean, everybody here, I mean, it's not what I do for a living, but it is what I do for a living. And everybody here knows that going to the lowest bidder typically is a formula for disaster. But I know that's the game we have to play. So
Yeah.
understood that.
We met, so just where y'all can be clear, That's a good point that you made. We did go through a conference with the low bidder to make sure, cause I don't like, and I make it clear to everybody I work with, I don't like to have a whole bunch of change orders. And so unless there's a reason for commodity pricing or something that's extenuating, we did go through a conference with the bidder to make sure that they were comfortable with their bids as well as the commodity pricing from their vendors as well as their subcontractors. And they were very clear to us that they were comfortable in those numbers. And, you know, let's just, the other piece to it, one of the things they brought up is larger construction companies have a lot more overhead than smaller sometimes, and they don't have the overhead that some of the other people have. And so their margins are different and their price is their price, and they were comfortable with their price. And so we asked the question, we were wanting to be clear on it, and they answered, and I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I just didn't know on this side of it, the process. I like the rubric idea where price obviously must be a factor because we operate inside of a budget, and we have a
Right.
certain amount of money we can put to a project. And I know that we have and Stogner's a good company. They there's some challenges with them too, but I like the fact that there is or there needs to be a rubric where price, experience, e- past, data or history with a company of a sort, especially when we start getting into some of these bigger projects. Um, that's going to be very important.
Yeah, we agree with you.
I mean, it is interesting that, as you know, I'm on UNC system, on a university board, and the state procurement rules are very different. Interesting. But we gotta deal with it how, both ways, we gotta deal with it how they tell us. Sure.
Okay, if there are no further questions, I will entertain, we need a motion to, approve this resolution.
Oh, right, you're cute.
Yeah.
I second.
Now, does he, you have to say the resolution number?
Right, I move that we approve resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of New Bern, number 03.26.01.
Okay, and we have a second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
All right,
Motion carries.
one abstention.
Yes.
Yes.
With one, I'm sorry, say it again.
With one exception.
One abstention.
With one abstention.
Yeah.
Motion carries with one abstention. Okay, and so thank you so much. Next, I need a motion, please, to go into closed session.
Pursuant to North Carolina statutes 143-28,
Very good.
3, which is the consultancy attorney.
Thank you.
What he said.
A second.
Did you do? No, we need a so moved. So moved. Okay, who's bringing? Yes. And then Scott? Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.